Hey, Heavy Mag listeners, watchers, and readers. My name's Ezekiel Ox, and I'm the front man and singer for Melbourne band Mammal.
And I'm Dave Gleeson from the Screaming Jets, and I'm the front man singer as well.
And the
Rock
front
on.
man singer. How are you, buddy? How are you guys? Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very
Very
much for
lucky.
having us.
No worries. So this is a bit of a new one for all three of us. We're having a happy threesome on the line today. We're here to promote an upcoming tour which sees the Screaming Jets and Mammal team up for the Lifeblood Tour, which kicks off in Illawarra on November the 8th, goes through Melbourne, Newcastle, Perth, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Sydney, and wraps up on the Gold Coast on January the 5th. Like, it's going to be 8 days of high energy rock and roll Australian style right there, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about this tour. I mean, I've seen Mammal's exploits on YouTube and stuff, but can't wait to see them live. And I'm sure that the Jets fans are part of the reason they love our band is the energy and that real kind of rock and roll vibe that we bring, and that's why I think they're going to really take to Mammal.
Yeah, I reckon you're right there, Dave. It's a great opportunity for us to get in front of some fans that will be a bit different, and vice versa. There'll be some Mammal people coming that may not have seen you guys yet, but I think most of the people will not have seen us. Most people will have seen you guys, but we're just so looking forward to it. We're probably leaning further towards like slightly heavier sound when we get going, but it's been interesting actually discussing it with the boys and how we're tailoring our set to make sure that we're giving the Jets fans what they want. I mean, we love all our songs, but yeah, it's been fun actually thinking, oh, it's a bit of a different one for us. So yeah, we're absolutely pumped, Chris, to say the least, and stoked that our mutual agent Owen Orford, shout out to Owen, he's a gun. I think he's come up with a really good idea here, and the fans are going to benefit.
I was actually going to bring that up because, like, as you guys both know, I'm a massive fan of both bands, and when I saw that you was playing together, it was like all my Christmases for the last 40 years came true. But what were your guys' initial thoughts when you were asked to play with each other?
Well, I'll go first on this one because I think in the end we had to be invited onto the tour. There's no way we could ask the Jets to come and support us. So I think I was surprised because there's a slightly different generation. Like I was saying to Dave when he interviewed me for Triple M that I remember my older sister bringing home All for One, on vinyl when I would have been 11 or 12 when it came out. And that's not far off 18, 19 and starting to cut your teeth as the Jets would have been. So we're not that far apart in age, but generationally it's different. Probably because of our heaviness. I wasn't expecting to get any offers from a band like that is just legit, probably more in that, like they're more peers of like the Angels and sonically and Cold Chisel, I'd say, like, which are sensational bands. And I'd certainly say the Jets in the same breath as them. So we were surprised, but then immediately it just made sense. Like I just said to the guys, this we have to do this tour. It makes sense. It's a perfect opportunity. And yeah, so that was my feelings when I got the very generous offer from the Jets to come out. And yeah, I just, because the other guys were like, I don't know, is this the right time? Is this the right band? I was like, trust me, fellas, it's going to be great.
Yeah, well, for us, absolutely. Owen came to us with the idea, and over the journey we've toured with, we've picked up bands like Grinspoon when they first went on tour. We kind of poached them to come on a tour with us, and saw them guys go on to the massive success. But they had a different sound to us as well. They were a heavier band than us, but there was just something about the bill that sounded like it was the right thing to do. And over the years, you play with different young bands, and I think that was something that we really had going for us when we kicked off. As like we supported the Radiators and Choir Boys, and then the Divinals, and all these big bands that had kind of a different sound. I think at one stage we supported Wah Wah Nee and Dear Enemy. But it was a way to get in front of new people, and some people were like, oh, I'm not into that at all, but others were like, oh, they could see the kind of the meeting of the two kind of bands. And I just think, it's like a bit of a mini festival. We've got Large Mirage coming on with us as well. They're a great young band. It's just I think people, bang for their buck and introducing two audiences that there might be a crossover in, and you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think just on that, Dave, I think you can spend a lot of time talking about how you're different, but there's similarities between the Jets and Mammal as well. Like, it's rock and roll,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're both. I'd argue we're both led by front men that like to mix it up, like to create a bit of danger, as we were talking about in that previous interview. I think there's plenty that we're similar on, and it's a broad church rock and roll, and I'm looking forward to worshipping at the altar with the Jets coming up.
I love it. I love it. Now, you mentioned the fact that the two of you are enigmatic showmen out the front, and in my opinion, these are probably two of the best going around, at least in this country. But is there going to be a bit of friendly banter and rivalry between you? Because you're both known for being a bit over the top. Like, is it going to be trying to over the top each other?
Like the Gallaghers. I'll be Noel, you be Liam.
I'd be more thinking like about just how good it's going to be for the audience. Like, I mean, we're different performers, but also like that's a front man's job. Like, it's not that me and Dave are doing it wrong. We're just going to do what we do, I'm sure, because the front men that aren't doing what me and Dave doing, in my view, I agree with your assessment of me and Dave being up in the some of the most watchable men in Australian rock. But I think that if you're not doing it like me and Dave, then you're just fucking doing it wrong, Chris. So get around it and come and watch two of them. I love
it. What he said.
Dave, you got something to say? Go on.
No. Look, I think as Zeke's got his show, and that's what I love about him. It's not like they're a young band like cutting their teeth and finding their way. They're an established band who've got their shit together, and it's so it's going to be, and not that I have anything against the young bands who are coming and learning their craft and stuff, but yeah, I mean, Mammal they've got their craft, they've got their show, and they're just going to bring it. So we will do the same. Obviously, we've got our show that we do and pride ourselves on and have done for all this time, and so all it is the backstage is always fun, and when you're out on stage, everyone wants to be just put on a massive show and blow the crowd away with everything they do.
Yeah, I think another thing too that the Jets have that sort of puts them in really good stead. For me, I've been going back over your catalogue, Dave, and just listening. I was by the pool yesterday with it cranking out of my bedroom, and it's just the songs, Chris and Dave. Like probably what Mammal relies on, just this pure visceral punk energy that we make the sound we want. We write some good songs, but you go back through the Jets catalogue, and even the new record that came out, new last year, that I've been listening to, which has like professional misconduct and all stuff on it. Like the craft that you guys bring, which has seen you guys explode more into that FM realm, which we're now starting to get a few plays and spins on some regional Triple M. That's what I've noticed in going back over it. I don't like to analyse myself. That's for other people to do. Yeah. I know what we do. But, going back over it and just realising, man, like songs like, Shiver and songs like Helping Hand, they're just beautifully crafted tunes, Oh. And that's what I'm noticing. You guys can just lean back and go, how's this for a banger that everyone wants to sing along to?
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, very lucky. Paul Wazine and Grant wrote songs. We all wrote songs together in the first couple of albums, and yeah, that's how they developed their craft. We had a great producer in Steve James, who's still involved to this day, and yeah, I mean, those guys really nailed the craft. I'm trying to step up now and write some songs myself that are up there. So, but you're always developing that shit, aren't you? I mean, and to be able to look back and say, oh yeah, I remember when we were creating that song. That's always a great thing to have as part of your musical path.
Yeah.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall at all of these shows, guys, because I don't know how to put this so it comes across right, but You've both been known to go off in tangents when you're giving the speeches on stage. Like, I'd like to know, and they're all interesting, don't get me wrong, but I'd like to know who's going to go off in the most different directions, over the course of the whole tour to be.
That'll depend on fireball consumption there, Chris.
Well, I'll say, Dave, on Fireball, I'm a type 1 diabetic and cinnamon aids insulin absorption. So maybe I could get around that. But I'll say this, Chris. Mammal on this tour, it's the first time we've supported a band in a while because we've gotten to that weird level where we were waiting for a band of the Jets' size, and caliber, as far as how many people come to see them and how well known they are. We've been doing our own headline shows, and so there's going to be very little chat from me on the mic because we've only got our 45 minutes and we're going to be pumping out the hits. And I'm not really that interested in banging on. We'll let the music do the talking. And I think Dave might have a bit more room in the set to stretch his legs than I will.
Yeah, mate. Look, I miss Paulie Wozine because he just start the song. He just if I'm banging on too long, I just hear him say "fuck this," and he just turn to Cam and say, "Right, start, go."
Yeah, that's right. That's what Pete and Zane do. They'll just cut me off.
Right, he's gone. He's done enough. No.
Oh, all right, guys. So, Dave, tell us your first memory of Mammal.
Well, it was only through Owen Orford, who Zeke spoke of before. He brought him to my attention. I'd actually seen posters around the place and thought it was not a bad name because I am one. And so Owen got us in. It started talking about what bands we could possibly get with, and make a bit of a different impact and play some different venues, and kind of start growing our crowd. Even at this time in your career, you still want to be making sure that you're growing your crowd and you're getting to new people. And he introduced me to Mammal about only 3-6 months ago, and I saw the wild energy and just saw his nuts. So yeah.
Zeke.
First memory of the Jets?
Yep.
First memory of the Jets is my sister, Kirsty. I was blessed with 2 older sisters, or cursed, depending on what day it was. Wonderful, raised in a really strong household with 2 amazing, my mum as well, like 3 amazing women, and my parents were massive vinyl addicts, and so as children, I remember wanting to get my pocket money so I could start buying my own records. And my middle sister Kirsty was a massive fan of the Divinyls and all these sorts of bands. And then she brought home the album. I think it's called All for One, Dave. Stop me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And it had Better and on it. That was just an absolute solid gold. Still is. An absolute solid gold hit. And she used to play it in her bedroom. And I'd always get when they let me, their little brother, I'd be allowed to sit in there and read the back of the vinyl. And I just remember being really impressed with the songs and the sound, and it aligned with a lot of the Springsteen and stuff that Mum and Dad listened to. It was a new version of rock and roll, probably a little close to the Radio Birdmans and the Angels and stuff like that I wasn't aware of yet. It was my gateway to some other stuff. But I just remember being 11 years old and there was this song called Better, and everyone sung it. And then all of a sudden, every time you go to a pub, there'd be a bloke with an acoustic guitar screaming it out as well. So it's that's my memory. I was very young though. I was 11 years old when that record came out.
Wow. And I remember you telling me once, Dave, that since Better came out, you haven't done one gig where you haven't played that song. Is that still the case?
Oh, I would say so. Yeah. What's the point? What's the point of leaving that out? Look, not tonight. You've all heard American Pie enough. It's like everyone has heard it enough. They've heard it a million times, but not everyone's been to the show every night to see it played live. Some people are just seeing it there for the first time ever in their life. So, it's just an absolute joy to play that. Helping Hand, Shivers. For a song that starts with I've been contemplating suicide to have become such a sing-along song as it is. And obviously we didn't write that, but it was, songs like that, Even Destruction, and then lesser known songs. We always start with Come On. I don't think, I'm pretty sure there hasn't been many gigs that we haven't had Come On in the set either. There's just songs that you love to play, and songs that when when you kind of lock into them, you kind of, it's like, right, yeah, we're at work now, let's fucking go, you know. It's so those, we use them as much to rev us up as to rev the crowd up. And yeah, I'm pretty sure Better has been in the set since the day it was first released.
Nick was 11 years old.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to hear that, the reflection, David, and about a couple of things that I think are interesting in that answer is, you know, the first of all, that the Shivers, you know, that first line about that raises that, you know, the sort of suicide. We actually had an argument on the new album. There's a line on Keanu Reeves, the first single: "If you knew someone else was in control of your life, would you kill yourself?" And
Right.
and we were discussing the lyrics, and Pete, our guitar player, was like pretty confronted with that, and we had to argue: is it good that it's confronting? Is it? I actually got, yeah, and so that's great. But that makes me think about like authenticity. Like I think whatever you're doing, it's authentic, and it comes back to like what Chris was saying about our antics, so to speak, on stage. I think that we've endured probably as frontmen and as acts, because we're not just putting it on because we thought that that's what Mick Jagger was supposed to do or what James Brown. It actually comes, you can see it in this conversation. Both of us are extroverted. Both of us love a chat, and we're doing our version of it. And I think that the reason that the Jets, certainly, you know, like, again, I don't like to say what's important about my band. That's for other people to reflect on. But what I can say from the Jets is there's a truth and an authenticity to it, which is why it's been so enduring. You know, through the ups and downs, you survive. Yeah.
Look, I think that runs through a lot of the bands that went before us, the Chisels, the Angels, and all that, like 80s, 70s, and 80s. Those guys who paved the way for, you know, pub rock and all that success they had. They were packing joints 6 nights a week across the country. They were getting played on radio ad nauseum, and all that. And the reason that they're still around is because none of them are rock star wank. Well, you know, no, but not like the reason they have stayed around is because you just can't fake it in this country and get away with being some kind of dickhead and still kind of bask in the, you know, the crowds coming and seeing you. And I think that comes across in a lot of the music that gets made by a lot of Australian artists. Is well, none of the ones who've ever been on any of those shows, but everyone else. I mean, with the exception of Anthony Kaluuya, so earnest, amazing. But I just think that we come from that stock of get up there, put on the show, and I took my daughter to see Foo Fighters, and Dave Grohl was motherfuckering all over the place, and hey motherfuckers and fucking, and I said, if I went on stage as an 18, 19-year-old in Cardiff and started calling the crowd motherfuckers,
you wouldn't come off.
Yeah, it would have been a very short show. Very short show.
Yeah. See, I've always gone different. Like I'm early in our career. I got certainly into some stoushes, but I was relentless in my attacks on crowds that I didn't think were engaged with us enough. I never went with the "we'll get them in the end." I just went on just saying, you are not. I always say there's a contract. We've brought the energy. We brought the songs. Get off his chair, put your phone down, shut the fuck up, and dance. And if you're not doing it, I will force you to. So, and it's definitely got me. It's got me a couple. Like me and Pete got our faces properly bashed in and glassed.
No,
I fell in Geelong one night. But we finished the set, Dave. We finished the set.
Yeah, sweet ass. Like Sid's back in the day. That's fucking great footage of Sid Vicious up on stage with all the blood still coming down his face.
That's what it was. That's
classic. All right, guys. Well, Zeke, what's your favourite Screaming Jets song?
I've been actually going through them, so I can't say one. I think there's something about Helping Hand now that I've been going back over them, because I love how it's a bit of a sook. Like it's a song that's sort of saying, you know, oh look, poor me. But then the answer in the chorus, I'm always about the emotion of the lyric. And the answer in the chorus is actually a really natural and good thing to ask. Like, please help me. Like, it's a really human thing to reach out when your mental health is down and low. And I've struggled with my mental health, and I love it. It's like, it's okay to, I don't know, that's what I get out of it is, you know, sometimes things are hard, but what you do and what's a healthy thing to do is just reach out to your mates and say, hey, can someone please help me because I'm struggling? And then it's your turn when they're down for them to ask you. So it makes me feel good to listen to that song over what I've been doing. But there's so many bangers. That was a tough question, Chris. Come on, go easy.
100%, mate. Thanks. That's exactly what Paulie wrote it for. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Oh, no, I'm going to make it even harder for you, mate. If Mammal had to cover a Screaming Jets song, which one would you reckon it'd be?
Well, I'm loving the Got You Covered album. I didn't know it existed. The Jets have actually done a covers record, and I love the title, Dave. Like it's like, oh, why didn't I think of that? I love it. If we were going to,
I've got a suggestion for you. I wrote a song after I saw the movie True Romance with Christian Slater, and one of my favourite all-time movies. And he said, "I love your movie, Coming Home in a Body Bag." And so I wrote a song called "Coming Home in a Body Bag," which is a B-side that I've managed to track down somewhere. But that would be my suggestion for you.
Oh, well, cool. Well, I
definitely an anti-war song, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's obviously Mammal's all about that, and it's that coming home in a body bag. It sounds like something that I would say. It sounds like it's that aggression that I use in my lyric. That real wild-eyed, you know, sort of almost offense that I'm constantly on the offense. That sounds good, but I think, yeah, I think like I don't know, like I feel like it's a hard question to answer, Chris. I mean, imagine if we pulled up and we played like "Better" as the last song on this tour. That'd get our heads punched in.
You get played twice in one night.
I'd say probably "Shivers" because I love. It's actually got, because if you think about it, there's actually a link melodically to. We've got a song, Dave, called "Inciting," and it goes, "'Cause I'm inside," and "Shivers" has
okay.
So it's got that just that simple hook stretching out a lyric. And I think that it's also edge. It's got edge, and that's what Mammal's got, that slightly razor sharp edge.